the other topics?
Well, we might want to talk about bankruptcy specifically. Listen to me, Wolf Speed.
Okay.
How do we feel about that? That is having an impact.
I can't help but think as many companies are in buying chip factories and building them in the U.S. that someone's not going to buy that out from under Wolf Speed.
But it could be years.
Yeah,
You
well,
think
it's
gonna
going to
quick?
be years anyway.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're 2 years away from finishing anyhow.
Right.
Well, that might be a good thing because then whoever else might move
They can
in
modify,
can
right.
modify without having to
Well,
tear
the
down a whole bunch of
equipment's
stuff.
not in there. I mean,
Right.
that's the part that you would be talking
How
about.
many billions in the hole are they? How much?
More than
how,
two.
How much? Yeah. How much did they get from the CHIP Act?
I don't know. More than two. Yeah. All right. What else?
The other thing in the news: loss of the Southern accent. Have you heard of this?
Loss of the what?
Southern accent.
What? Did I say it wrong? It's diminishing. It's gone. It's considered.
That's because you don't hang out with the right
I was
people.
going
No.
to
It's
say.
been on the news. It's
Oh,
been
Oh
on
yeah,
the news.
because the news is always correct.
Yeah. Because they hang out in
What
Raleigh.
a great example he is.
They hang out in
You made your
Raleigh.
argument. Touche.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, you haven't heard this.
No.
It's diminishing. I
I
guess
haven't heard it in Pittsboro. That's for damn
television,
sure.
worldwide English. The British accent is
All right.
diminishing as
What's
well.
your email address?
I don't want. No, I'm not giving.
All right, folks.
I don't
If
need
you
any more
disagree with
email.
Eric, you can reach out to him. Just walk by
I
the.
thought that'd be an interesting topic. Obviously, it was not.
No.
What do you think about that theory?
There's a lot of places in North Carolina where the Southern accent's very strong. I grew up in North Carolina, but it was Fort Bragg, so
Right, and that's a whole mix of people.
Yeah.
Hey, you go down to South Georgia. I mean,
Haywood County,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's places.
Asquetank County, Perquimans County. I'm going to name counties that no one
Moultrie,
knows.
Georgia, Dothan. Well, Dothan's not.
Well,
Okay,
You know
I was
what's
wrong. I made
funny?
up the whole thing.
All right,
What's
go
funny-
ahead. What's the next
Wait,
one?
well, no. I want to hear what's funny.
Okay, so I moved to like Northern Virginia when I was in high school, and when I moved up there, everyone was like, "Where are you from? Are you like from Georgia?" Because they said my Southern accent was so thick, and it's I don't feel like I have one, but up there everybody was like,
They're very
so
sensitive
we
to it.
actually probably have Southern accents that don't even.
All right, what's next?
According to the TikToks, and this is where I get my news is TikTok.
I don't have the
You don't do the
TikTok.
TikTok dances, are you? You're not an influencer. I know you're not an influencer.
I am actually. I have.
Have you not noticed
I probably have
three
12
guys is rocketing to the top of the
No.
charts?
I use social media for different things.
Right.
My TikTok is just for powerlifting. I don't use it for real estate. I don't use it for it's just for powerlifting. But so I have I probably have 7 or 8 people following me on TikTok right now.
Well, now you might have 9 or 10.
No, but
What's your account on TikTok so that people can watch you powerlift?
I don't even know. I really don't know.
He wears a singlet.
You're not one of these guys that sets up the camera doing powerlifting, and
Yeah,
if somebody walks
I am.
by you,
No,
get
I don't.
upset
I have my own
about it.
gym. I have my own gym. Nobody walks by me. No, but that's one of the things I
You don't know
make
how
fun.
much he hates people. He's got to be in a room by himself because
And
he hates.
I still wear a hood, glasses, and headphones. That way I don't even have to talk to myself. According to the TikToks, they ranked the lakes in North Carolina polluted, and guess which one was the most polluted
Jordan.
in the whole state? of
Jordan.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
It's the one that gets the most visitors.
Is that, well, it does.
It is.
Yeah, but not only does it get the most, that's the most visited park in all of North Carolina.
Yeah,
is
but-
Jordan.
Except for Fort Macon.
But the design of Jordan Lake is wide.
It's shallow.
Because no, not just that. So the Haw River comes down and hits the bridge like this, but all of the lake then backs up to the left. So there's no circulation in that lake all summer long, and so it's like swimming in a pond as opposed to swimming in a lake where the water's flowing
Yes.
through and out.
Have you ever gotten that flesh-eating bacteria?
I got the brain-eating amoeba. I got the
bet
one
you did.
Kennedy
I bet
had.
you did. That explains a lot.
Yeah. No, but a lot of kids have issues. No,
Yeah.
I mean, by a lot too that I
Well,
know
the
of.
UNC crew, ladies crew team practice out there. They used to do it at University Lake, but they practice out there now.
Yeah.
And they actually did pretty well in the rowing event.
Well,
over at
when
Lake
you're in the
Wheeler.
crew team, the goal is not to be in the water.
That's true.
Not just that, but they're largely doing it in January and February. They really don't want to be in the water. They practice year round, but most of their
Yeah, I think their last competition just happened at the end of or is coming up at the end of the month.
it's
Are we talking about this over here?
No,
Okay.
you got scared.
Can we talk about the thing you're thinking about possibly having on the first floor in the building, or is that still not? When you walk past,
We're in negotiations right
Oh,
now.
okay.
We cannot tip the scales
So-
in negotiations.
yes.
don't even.
Some things are secret.
Okay, what would have made this whole thing more enjoyable for you, or more intellectually stimulating?
I'm not done with my stimulation.
Oh, all right, go on.
Hey, go ahead.
Well, this came up on your news station.
Okay.
People commenting about Pittsboro and county involvement, whether or not there are real estate people on town boards
Oh,
or planning
okay,
boards
yes.
or whatever, and whether or not that is
right.
a conflict of interest.
Yes,
or
I think
whatnot.
some people said you sucked the money out of the whole thing, or something like that. I don't agree
I don't
with
think
that
it's a
opinion.
conflict of interest.
Thank you.
I think you add
Now,
value to it.
if you're involved and you're gonna
Recuse
get
yourself.
compensation for a certain
Absolutely.
project,
Well, that's
then
in
yeah.
our ethics.
But that's any.
bylaws.
That could be a surveyor, engineer.
And-
you know.
Right.
I think the biggest issue with that would be if it was like anyone felt like the planning board was a good old boys club.
Uh-huh.
That ain't what you got.
No.
Matter of fact, he's always outvoted 11-1.
Well,
so,
not
but what I'm saying is it's not.
I have a lot of respect for my planning board.
Right, but
a lot
again,
of
it's
different
not as
perspectives.
if they're going, "Oh, that's Eric's. I'll do that for him." The
Yeah,
feelings
right.
on that planning board and on the county commissioners and on the town council are way too strong for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like. Well, and I would want people to actually look up my voting record. I'm by no means a rubber stamp. You know, but there's good conversation, and I feel as though, you know, we have people that have been involved with EPA. We have people that have been involved with water protection. We have people that have been involved in erosion control. It's such a diverse group and what they bring into it. I like how we have different
I
perspectives.
dream of your success rate. If you look at me in front of it, it's like I'm the total loser in front of these things.
So that's because you're so tall.
Yes.
But you also need to give kudos to the Chatham County planning staff.
Department.
Yeah,
Oh my
because
gosh, yeah.
I know when I was on the
We're
planning
so
board,
prepared.
I always.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you read what they provide content-wise, and the interesting thing is, they're like, okay, yes, no, maybe, and usually when you look at some of those maybe things, those are the things that you brought up and had questions of the developer.
Mm-hmm.
And have you noticed that the folks that use local folks usually do a little bit better than folks that come completely out of the county and have no idea what's going on in Chatham County?
Yeah, and that's not part of a good old boy network.
No,
that is because they really don't have an understanding. I mean, I remember when George Lucier was chair of the planning board, we had a group come in and they were ill prepared, and he took offense to the fact that we were being treated like some small rural planning board and everything.
Right.
He's like, you are woefully unprepared. I mean, he gave it to them and everything, and they were like, yeah, and they came back and they're like, they were so much more prepared
Right.
the second go around or whatever, but they just thought this was going to be so easy, little podunk, da da da. It was like he straightened them out.
Yeah. You don't have dummies in that group.
No.
You don't have dummies at the county. You
Right.
don't have
Yeah.
dummies at the town.
No,
So it's not this cabal. You know,
Cabal.
again, and the last thing I was talking about getting approved, it was a constant accusation of being a cabal. And I wish I had that kind of power. You know,
Do you even know how to spell cabal?
CABAL.
let's see.
all right.
You thought it was KC.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
But-
Kathy or Kathy. Some.
I'm just trying to eavesdrop.
No,
No,
you
no,
probably
I
didn't
just-
watch
Do
it.
you want to sit? Do you want to sit down? You can grab a
No,
seat.
but I wish I had that power.
Uh-huh.
I do wish I had it. But unfortunate for my financial endeavors so far, that ain't the case. But you know, that's just to support your position. It's good to have real estate agents. You want an attorney there, not named Greg Stafford, and you know, because they're going to point out problems.
Or realities.
Realities, right?
Right, and you do want people who know the board, because you're not going to recommend things that are a waste of time completely without trying to tell the developer, look, these are the things you need to fix, just take my advice, because that's what's coming.
Well, I remember one time some guy came in from out of town, and we gave him 3 opportunities. I thought it was a good project, but there were concerns from the neighborhood, and he did not. And it's like, go back to the neighbors. Comes back a second time, didn't address it, and it's kind of like, okay, buddy, you had 3 chances to. You could have done this if you got the buy-in from the neighbors, and he didn't do it. I'm like, no.
And it was the planning board when we were doing the SoCo project. There were people complaining about too many alcohol joints downtown, and several people showed up to say the churches don't want it downtown. And the reality was, then I was told that I should ask, so I went around to every church in downtown, and not a single one of them had an objection.
Are there any Catholic churches in town?
No, but
Because you can have a little wine.
I was going to say.
I can say that because I went to Jesuit high school.
But anyway, that situation is one that having people on the planning board who know all the people who are on the commission say, if you can't answer this question properly,
Right.
they're not going to pass it.
Yeah.
And you know, to take that one a little bit further, everyone said we're not as a church going to support alcohol in downtown, but we're not going to oppose you either. We're just going to remain neutral. And so when we went around and did that, we also found out the people who were complaining at the planning board about the alcohol and doing it for the churches didn't go to church in Pittsboro at all. So having people who know is important.
The half dozen or so churches that we have in town or the immediate downtown area, we couldn't at this point we couldn't avoid having alcohol in a restaurant served next to a church.
And my position was essentially you put the ABC store backing up to the friggin' Methodist church, and you know. But
Yeah.
anyway, but again, the churches were very. And I'm Baptist, and the Baptist church was even. We're not going to fight you. We're simply not supporting you either. Hands off.
Speaking about downtown in Pittsburgh, what you got exciting coming up over the next few months?
Well, the new fiscal year is about to start.
Okay.
So, let's see. We have 3 parts of our work plan: design, economic vitality, and promotions. So I would say promotions, we're going to support more like shopping events, and Finally Fridays is one that we've been working on. And there's a new group called Friends of Finally Fridays. It has members from the Arts Gallery, Chatham's Artist Guild, and a bunch of downtown business owners. So you know that's a success for a shopping event. We also it hasn't been approved yet officially, but in the proposed budget, the town board has approved in the proposed budget so far funding to work with the professional marketing group on how we can promote downtown better. And let's see, design, where we have several projects. I would say sculptures, murals. We're working with the plant on a sculpture show. September 20th. We have over 40 sculptures already that have been committed to come to the show, and the goal is to create an arts corridor on East and West Street where we're going to have sculptures up and down, and a few other design projects, like working on a design for the alleyway behind, like from Vino all the way down to the Beagle and Hair Salon. And economic vitality, that's what I'm going to be focusing more on, is like a business recruitment program, create a sales sheet, list all the incentives the town offers.
Nice.
We're working on with Placer software data, so I'll be working with businesses on providing like foot traffic information, consumer behavior. So yeah, there's.
Would there be like a EDC element to that if someone came and said, "Hey, I have this, and we're going to be bringing in 15 potential employees"? Would that be?
I mean, there's depending on how many employees you get, you can get certain grants and
Right.
stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, that's the area that I'm excited about working on.
Don't you think we should find some people to come up with some kind of plaque for all those trees that were wrongfully taken?
Look, why don't you write-
I will commit to the first $100.
why don't you print up some
Will
of
you
those
match that, Greg
certificates?
Stafford?
Are you going to do a plaque and are you going to embed it in the tree? Or where are you going to put this plaque?
No, the
Oh,
trees
there's
are
no
gone.
The trees are gone. Oh, the trees are gone.
You
That's
know, they
great.
do holograms now.
Yeah,
Maybe you
well.
can do a tree hologram.
My daughter graduated from Carolina.
I saw that. You
she
sounded like a
did-
proud daddy.
I'd be more proud if she had a job.
Just be nice.
Wait, aren't you hiring people in Pittsboro? No.
Yeah.
She's not. That's not. But she wants to do something in marketing or whatever. She had a good job offer in Charlotte, but she doesn't want to go to Charlotte. So she wants to be in the Raleigh area. She could have a good job offer in Pittsboro, but she doesn't want to be in Pittsboro. She wants to be in Raleigh. So hopefully that will get taken care of soon.
As she becomes older and more seasoned, she will change her
She's
mind.
21. She's 21. She's allowed to.
Let's wind this thing up.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I said. That's why I did. That was my
All right.
last thing.
That
right
was
there.
your segue?
That was my segue.
All right.
We got what's coming up. We
Excellent.
got your worries that you're not the tallest guy on the top of the roof. You
The guy
wrap.
from Doherty's is taller. Man.
He is not taller than me.
I put you at an even 6'6", 6'5.5".
I have contracted over the
So am I.
years.
He's now the height of Drake Powell. Speaking of Drake Powell, looks like he's staying in for the
Yeah.
NBA draft. So
Well, he had a great
He
combine.
had a great combine.
42-inch vertical.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
That ain't bad for
That
a
ain't
kid
bad.
his size.
and he played well and he showed off well in
You
interviews.
see what the vertical was for the?
The 475-pound guy?
Oh no, I didn't see that. Well, what about the guy from Alabama who everybody was talking
Jaron
about
Stevens.
Cooper being the best player? Him and Cooper are the best player, and then but he had it was like a 22 or 24 inch.
Well, the guy, the 475-pound lineman going into the NFL, 26-inch vertical leap.
That's smart. Yeah.
460 pounds off the ground, 25 inches.
He could crush you, man.
Dude,
Doesn't matter how tall you
yeah,
are.
I don't.
When I went to Torbush's
Yeah.
football camp, he said if you had to do one factor, not 40 speed, not bench press, not height, not weight,
Jump.
vertical was the single best indicator of what kind of athlete you were.
Well, this guy also ran, I think they said a 5'5" or 5'6".
Try to stop
40.
that.
How are you going to stop 450 pounds
Yeah.
with that kind of speed?
We tell her she did a great job.
No, you have done a great
Right.
job. But
Well,
maybe
thank
we
you
should
for having me.
All right.
maybe we should finish
Fun.
this off with you guys having a vertical jump off.
And what you can do is try to slide this under my feet when I get airborne. I bet you can't do
But
it.
no, let's just show this off again one more
Alright.
time. Again,
Yeah. Alright.
this is the Main Street award, and we also got an
All
award
right, I gotta go.
for You Gotta Go.
I
All right,
gotta
thank
go.
you very much.
All right, rocking. All right, guys, good to see you.
You too.
Good to see you, man.
All right.